Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Speaker's Pulse. The Speaker's Pulse is a platform where public speaking and largely soft skills matter a lot. And we get the opportunity to discuss wonderful content here and lately discuss soft skills. And if you are just joining in, we are having a series on soft skills, particularly why soft skills matter. Last 2 weeks, I told you of one of my favorite quotes that says that hard skills win you or give you an opportunity to attend a job interview, and soft skills, they get you the job and keep you in that job. So we've been on an understanding of really what are soft skills. Why is it important for us to invest time in understanding what soft skills are? But most importantly, now that we may understand what soft skills are, what can we do to build these vital skills that are crucially important for our own growth and development? As usual, my name is Joshua Tahinduka, your host, and just like it is a habit of mine to never walk alone, I've brought to you my wonderful friends that were here last show, this actually 2 weeks ago. It sounds like a week already because I was really excited about this day, and they are here. And I'd like to introduce to you my two wonderful panelists. One is Edith Muyombela, all the way from the coast, Tanzania, our wonderful neighbors, good friends and family indeed. Edith is here. Edith is a wonderful person if you get to know her, but most importantly, the world knows her as a learning and development professional. So Edith, you're welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming once again. Now, if you've been keen and watched a few series or a few conversations on the Speaker's Pulse, Mr. Venuste is not a guest to you, neither is he a stranger. He is indeed a gentleman that we know very well on this show. He's attended a couple of shows before, and he's also back to help us demystify what these soft skills truly are. Mr. Venuste is known in town as a senior telecommunications engineer, but man, this man wears many hats. Among many things, he's an entrepreneur, but I know him as my good friend and a mentor. And most youth know him as a wonderful mentor. So, friends, we are in good company. Two wonderful mentors. I forgot to mention that Edith is also doing a mentorship program in her community. I beg your pardon. She is an enthusiastic information sharer, if that's a new word I could use. But most importantly, we have evidence tonight that she's back on this show to help us again demystify these soft skills. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to delve deep into the conversation. And my friends, thank you so much once again for coming back to this wonderful conversation that we did not conclusively put to bed 2 weeks ago. And like we promised our friends, we'll be back. And tonight, we hope to be able to conclude on the introduction and argue the case that truly soft skills matter. Maybe it's fair for me to begin from where we stopped. And I'll ask you, Venuste, what do you think was your take home for the last show? Because we said so much, and at the end of the day, we were all nodding and saying, look, this is such a wonderful conversation. To you, what do you think was an important nugget that you picked from our last conversation? Venuste?
Okay, thank you, Joshua. Thank you, everyone who is attending. Last session was an interesting one. Introduction to a concept which is sometimes misunderstood, soft skills. Last time, I got so many insights based on the discussions we had. But if there's something I took home, something I wished everyone from the audience could have taken home, I would relate it to the comparison, to the analogy I brought about the soft skills and the computer. because we are using computer in our daily life, and it is easy to relate computer component to the person. I said the hardware is what we can touch as a person. And for the hardware to work, for the computer to operate, it needs some programs. And we have by default program, which would fit on the computer, and you would be able to do basic function of the computer. Those basic software, by default software, I term them as, if we consider a human person, I call them the common sense. And everyone has a common sense innate to him. And you can live all of your life using a common sense. And you can be very successful using common sense. But similarly to a computer, when you want to go above the level you are, you would realize that you need extra software. And those extra software, which are many, many, each one will be adding something on your effectiveness. And those added software, those are the one I relate to the soft skills we are learning. So if there's something I would want to recall again, is that those software, those programs, that like us, they're running us, but we must be responsible of programming them. You must be responsible of making those programs which are responsible of our life. So that's the thing I would like to remind from our last conversation.
Very, very deep, very interesting. And as they would have it, a good student is one that gets information, applies the information, and that helps other people understand. And I think Mr. Venuste has been true to his engineering background and tech community. Thank you so much for reminding us about the analogy of the computer or handset and then the software that actually runs the whole computer. So my friends, there you have it. We have the opportunity to program ourselves. Edith, I know you are impatiently waiting to share with us as well some of the tips that you think you got from our last conversation. I'd like to give you the opportunity to share with us as well. Edith.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Joshua. I mean, it feels great to be back again on a different session, talking about the same thing, and that is the importance of soft skills. So going straight to, what you asked me, and trying to reflect on what we discussed about in the whole 1 hour last time. A lot of things, I would wish for a lot of things to, to stick to people's minds, to whoever that joined last time. But one thing that I would like to highlight once again is, I remember at some point we referred to the soft skills as survival skills. So for me, it brings importance to them. Like, these are survival skills. They're not just skills. You need them to survive. And I remember at one point, we talked about the fact that, you use your technical skills probably maybe only during, your working time, but you use your soft skills from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. So these are the skills that I used to a large extent throughout your day. So you should really put focus on them, and you should really find many reasons to perfect them. To me, that's one thing that I would like for the audience to take them with.
Well, thank you so much again for that reminder. The three of us agreed that surely soft skills are skills that we need for our survival, for us to be able to do well, not only to even just survive, but also to thrive, because it is the soft skills, as we shall discuss subsequently, that make a huge difference. It just reminds me a lot about, even in a professional space, And as you would know, Venus and Edith, both of you have been in places where you observe young professionals and even seasoned professionals. It's usually the soft skills that put these C-class people apart, and the ability for someone to exude these at an early stage of their life and their career positions them better. But even our relationships, in our social relationship, we know social outcasts, people that have been sidelined because of lack of soft skills. So there you have it, my friends. In case you missed the conversation, you are not to grief, because there is actually a whole conversation still on our channel. You have the opportunity to go back and read through or watch through the whole conversation that we had 2 weeks ago. But that should not stop you from sticking around, because we have a lot in stock. In order for us to be sure that we are all together, if you're new at the Speaker's Pulse, I just want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. If you are one of those people, very few people around our show that have not subscribed, I think this is a very good time for you to subscribe, my friend, so we can stick together. And also, if you know a friend that might know a friend that can tell a friend to be part of this conversation, please do send the link and let us start this conversation with a bit of energy, and let's reach out to as many people that we know. And let me also say, if you know someone secretly that lacks soft skills and you know their life could be on the line, this could be your hero moment. You could send them this link and say, join this conversation, you never know. And that would surely make you a hero, because you will have not only saved someone's life or career, you will have actually contributed to their well-being as a human being, because I think it is a matter of survival. And surely the software that you'll be putting together this time will be one that prepares you for success. Now, my friends, I just want to dive directly into it and put to you this question. We've been talking about soft skills, the vitality of these skills. It's indeed survival. It's indeed that software that runs us and takes us the direction. I remember, Venus, you said sometime, I think in the last show, that we have the opportunity to actually program ourselves by applying the right software, as you mentioned. So I just wanted to ask you, someone that is attending this conversation for the first time, or someone that is hearing soft skills for the first time versus hard skills, just wanted to spend some time and create a clear difference between these two. And I'd like to begin with you, Edith, if you don't mind, to help us make a clear difference between the hard skills and the soft skills. Maybe this could draw us closer to understanding this skill that often eludes some people. Edith?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I'd like to, before I answer the question that you asked, I'd like to just echo what you say about the soft skills. And you say that it's not only for surviving, but thriving as well. So if you want to thrive, you really need to focus on, improving your soft skills. Now, for someone who maybe confuses and cannot really differentiate between soft skills and hard skills, I think it was like 2 days ago, I was reading a certain article about, soft skills and hard skills, just skills in general. And there's some place that it said that the main difference between hard skills or technical skills and soft skills is lies in two things. One, on how you acquire them, and two, on how you put them to work. That is how you apply them. So that lies where the difference is. And they, in that article, they say that, most of the times the technical skills are acquired in a very structured manner, and that is probably in academic institutions, in a certain institution that offers maybe a certain certification. But unlike soft skills, these are the ones that you can acquire in different ways. It could be probably through just learning, observing from people, or through probably, yes, you can sit in class, but you still have a room to continue to apply them out of that very formal setting of a classroom, as I said. But maybe just to put a summary, you can say that hard skills are technical skills. These are the ones that are acquired very formal and structurally, while soft skills are non-technical, and these are the ones that in most cases influence the way you perform the hard skills. That's how I can differentiate between soft skills and hard skills.
So thank you so much. So with these skills don't go separately. They seem to go hand in hand. And in what you say, it's like the soft skills unlock the hard skills. But let me ask Venus, do you have any additional difference between hard skills and soft skills?
I would only emphasize what my friend Edith has said. I would emphasize that aspect that the hard skills, we are all used to it because we have been at school, primary school, second, and so on. And every time we are ranked, we are graded based on how good we are in answering the exam. So there's an aspect I would like to add is the hard skills. As if you go into school, they will teach you. And at the end, they will test you through an exam. And if you pass the exam, which most of time would be somehow to repeat. Even if I go in engineering, you would apply a formula you have been taught. And if you apply it properly, during the exam, you will get your degree. But the soft skills, as Edith has said, it is everywhere. Even in school, when you are studying the hard skill, if you have the right soft skill, it can make your life easier. The soft skills are soft, as the word is said. And another difference, most of time we may realize that you can learn yourself the soft skills, which is not the case with most of hard skill, where you need someone to teach you. Of course, on soft skills, you can benefit of a mentor who would help you to learn, to apply some tools, a mentor or a coach. But the first role in soft skill is yours. Because without your willingness to learn and apply, it would not work. And that's the fundamental aspect I want to add. Your involvement, that you can learn by yourself and you can thrive. As we have been saying, you can skyrocket because you are mastering a number of soft skills.
Well, thank you so much. Once again, to maybe connect the two is the hard skills are the ones that we probably go to school to acquire, or an institution, things like plumbing, carpentry, engineering, splicing, those of you that are technology engineers, telecom engineers, things to do with networking, things to do with cooking, or particular hands-on things that we need to do, accounting. These are some of the hard skills that we acquire. Of course, both of them are taught, can be taught, but the hard skills are even easier to learn. And you know, the irony, the irony between them around is that hard skills are easier to teach, whereas soft skills require another, as Venus said, they require a deep-seated desire or personal role, a significant personal role. You can be forced to learn the hard skills. That's the funny thing. You can be forced. You can actually be forced to learn. If you can be forced to learn how to drive a car, and someone would get a stick and show you this is what you do over time, and over time you would learn how to drive a car. But it's difficult to learn things like communication with a stick. It looks like these require much more intrinsic availability to be able to apply and learn consistently. And I saw you, Edith, nodding. I don't know if there's something particular you wanted to add on that. I'll give the opportunity do that before we can again transition?
Now, it's just getting, the conversation is getting very interesting. And I like the fact that Venusa said that it is within your area of influence. It's actually not area, the cycle of influence to be able to perfect the soft skills or to be able to learn them. So to me, this is something that individuals should really take advantage of, because there is no restriction. It's you making a decision that, you know what, I want to work on 1, 2, 3, and right away you start working on it. And there is no restriction, there is no criteria that is set somewhere that you need to apply. You know, whenever you have these courses or these certifications, they have all those sort of criteria that need to have 1, 2, 3, but this one doesn't need to have one criteria that is there. It's only your readiness. So if it's something that you have control over, why not just do it? I mean, that's what I was thinking while you were talking, while Venus was talking. Thank you very much.
Why not go ahead and actually build these vital skills? There's a friend that just asked a question before we can actually go to the next item. They asked that, can't you acquire some of the soft skills from your environment? Is it possible to acquire some of the soft skills subconsciously? And they just say environment, but I just added the subconscious, applying them subconsciously, because maybe there's another area where you are not deliberate, but you actually exhibit some of these traits. Is that a possibility? And maybe Venus, I don't know if you can weigh into this.
Of course, I would say 100%, of course, because the starting point, look back when you were a kid, there are some aspect of soft skill you learned from your parents. They were not expressingly saying, this is what you are asking you to learn, but you saw, and you took it as something to use in your life for your survival. And when you grow up, you went to school, and every time when you meet some people, even during this kind of session, this is a kind of environment as well, and probably some people are learning something. So the environment is the best source for soft skill, but it is also, maybe you're going to talk about it, it is also a source of what sometimes I call virus, worms. See, because when we talk about software, you can have the software you're looking for, the program you want to use, but in between some bit may jump in and stop the right program to run. So the environment is important. It is the one we learn from, but unfortunately, if you don't have the right tools to filter, you can come some virus or some worms jamming in you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a very good observation, Venus. Edith, do you have something to add on to that? Contribute to that?
Oh, yes. Venus has said that he started by giving an example of a family setting, right? And what lingers in my head right now is, the family values that we set. And these values influence how someone behaves from that moment until, they're adults and they're working somewhere. I'll give us an example as maybe being on time, being punctual. It's something that maybe you can learn unconsciously by observing your parents, just arriving on time and insisting that let's get ready, we're supposed to be there by 8 or something like that. Maybe I'll give an example as for the Christians. Maybe there are families that always arrive at church late, and those ones who arrive way before the church service starts. So whatever that you do, you're training your child to operate in a certain way. So for me is that, of course, you can learn through the environment. And even last time we talked, I gave an example as, the way my dad behaved when I got recognition for being, the most disciplined. So it's, of course, you can learn through the environment, and if we are to be specific, through different values, through different set of values that we have in our family, we have in influence how we behave. And then Venus, at some point you said about filtering. So you can have family values. Probably maybe you're working somewhere, they have organizational values, but you also have your own personal values that tend to be probably maybe a mix of your family values and the organizational values. Some you can drop, some they can stick with you because you find that they have meaning to your life. So clearly, our environment plays a huge role in influencing how we can, improve on our soft skills.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely vital to understand that. But one thing I learned from both of you, my friends, is that we cannot leave everything to chance by giving it to the environment, because your environment or our environment is not a sure deal. The sure deal is actually finding a much more intentional way of acquiring the skills that you need, as opposed to leaving everything to chance and saying, I have come from the best environment, therefore I could have all the soft skills that I need, especially that different circumstances will need different soft skills. And if you don't get the opportunity to have proper guidance, and like earlier on Venus mentioned, if you get a chance to get proper coaching and training, then you stand a higher chance. And that's why we are here as a team, to be able to bring this conversation to people that probably think they could have some of these skills, which I think all of us to a certain degree have the soft skills, as Venus earlier on reminded us, but we take it to another level and share some of the tried and tested ways to develop these skills. And you are in the right place if you're looking to understand how you actually can develop and grow your soft skills. You absolutely are in the right company. I'm here with my good friends Edith and Venus, who are also here last show as we introduced the conversation or the topic, why soft skills matter, and we started off with an introduction. We just want to quickly get on chat and see what our friends are saying already to add value to what our panelists are saying. And I'm quickly going to start with Papias. This is a very good friend that Venus and I know very well, and the Toastmasters fraternity in Rwanda know this gentleman very well. He says, I'm excited to join the Pulse involving my good friends Venus and Joshua. Thank you for this platform. I'll get back to a new friend, a good friend of mine, I beg your pardon, Mukiza Emmanuel. This is also another good brother. He says that I like the illustration to explain to us what is soft skills. He's actually referring to what Venus earlier on used to explain the soft skills. And then we have Papias coming again to say, we see Odile, thank you so much as well. She claps her hands. She uses the clapping emoji. Thank you so much, Odile, for being here. And then Papias comes again to say soft skills are key enablers to the successful delivery of technical skills in any field. And this I think comes to affirm what the three of us have been mentioning. I also want to mention that Mr. Papias is also a very senior engineer, particularly in the area of construction, and therefore I'm sure he's speaking from experience. And then there's a question from Emma. He says that how do you compare soft skills with talent? And again, thank you for your wisdom, Papias. Papias comes in to say soft skills help to articulate talents and maximizes their usefulness and impact. I think we could not explain it. I think you did very well when you say, sorry, Papias, thank you so much for putting it in that very rich way. I could try, but I would never beat this very good explanation. And truth to it, Mukiza says, I agree with you, Mr. Kazawadi. Mr. Kazawadi comes again to say, I would like my friend Venus to articulate the soft skills using the ARC, affinity, reality, and communication. So I'll get back to you shortly, Venus, with your ARC or affinity, reality, and communication. But then in a sense, Kabera says, we surely need your academy where we can meet mentors face to face. Well, in a sense, you are in the right academy. Here we are on social media. I think YouTube has made it possible for us to have the academy online, and you surely for free, you get the opportunity to interact and actually learn one or two things. Sylvain, another friend that has been on the show in fact, two shows back, he was here discussing the cost of leadership. He says that, glad to be here, good job, Venus and Edith. Then we have Caroline Namara, another wonderful friend. Great. Yes, you see, even Venus says, wow, it's a friend that we have actually missed so dearly in the Toastmasters Rwanda community. But Caroline, what a joy to read from you. She says, excited to be here. Well done, Joshua and the team. Now, friends, I'd like to get back to our panelists, and maybe Venus, if you have a bit of time to explain the soft skills in the three aspects. He says the ARC, which is affinity, reality, and communication. I'll give you some minutes if you want to attempt this, Venus.
Okay. Thank you, Joshua, and thank you, Kazawadi, for bringing this tool. There's something which I learned, unfortunately, very late in my life, think called tools of life. And when you get those tools for the first time, you would ask yourself, why I didn't see them? Why I didn't realize it before? And before talking about ARC, let me talk about a simple tool we often neglect. That tool, I would call it observation. We tend sometimes to not observe. Wherever we are, at workplace, home, family, I'm not saying most of the time, but it happens that we react before observing. And I'm going to, for explaining this tool, ARC, I want the audience to use their observation. And if you observe, you would find that thing called, let me start with R, reality. What reality is? The reality is a kind of agreement between two or more entities. We may have an agreement that Toastmasters, for instance, can help someone to improve his public skills, public communication skills. Because we have that in agreement, we have the same reality. And when we have the same reality, observe what will happen. We would tend to like each other. Because we have something in common and liking each other, it is what we call affinity. The affinity between us would increase. And because the affinity is higher, then the communication will go through easily. And that's the tool, ARC, affinity reality communication. Any corner of that triangle, whenever one goes up, the other would go up as well. But it works the other way as well. Most of the time, we tend to give example of couples. If you observe, you would realize that when couples reach a level of divorcing, it would have started by R going down. They don't have agreement anymore on some aspect of life. And because the reality is shrinking, there's disagreement, the communication would stop. And of course, there would be no more affinity. So that tool, ARC, you can use it how in soft skill? How can you use it? Suppose you have a friend of yours, you want him really to be, you want him to improve his life, or you are looking for something from him. You want him to introduce to maybe to a girl, maybe you want to date. If that friend will help you, you can look at something you may have agreement. Maybe he likes soccer. If he likes soccer, go to see the soccer with him. And whenever you start talking with him, bring some topic about soccer. Messi has shifted to Paris Saint-Germain. But by bringing that topic, which is bring agreement with him, he will feel some affinity with you. And by having the affinity, you will be able to communicate. And because their communication has increased, then you can bring your topic. Can you introduce me to that? So those, my friend, this is what I can say about this tool.
Thank you so much. That's a very, very good way to put it. And I think this lends itself somehow to my next question of how we can actually learn and develop these soft skills. I think this was a perfect question that helped us to bridge to the place where we wanted to be, which is understanding. Now that we know the soft skills are vital, we cannot do without them. How can we position ourselves to start growing our soft skills? So I'm just going to quickly ask Edith to maybe start us off, and then Venus will come later. Edith, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of ways that someone can use to learn soft skills, and I'm so excited that Venus has said one of very key ways, or he referred to it as a tool, and that is observation. So clearly you can learn by observation, but before you start observing, the right way to position yourself is, first of all, to be willing to learn. I think you've mentioned this from the beginning. So before anything else, because observation will come after you have, open your heart and say, you know what, I am willing, I am open to learn. I'm in this reality, as you say. There's a coaching model called GROW, and GROW talks about reality. And reality refers to the current situation. Where are you with, whatever it is that you want to work on? So one of the ways, first and the most key thing is, first of all, be ready. Acknowledge that you need to learn. Acknowledge that learning is a process. And this is very important because sometimes you would find people, probably maybe, let me give an example in a corporate world. They hold very high roles or high positions in the structure, and they tend to feel that they don't need to perfect certain skills. Probably it could be even communication skills. Probably, yes, you have a very big role in a certain organization, but there is a certain skill that you need to work on. So once you acknowledge that, I need to work on this, that's a step forward. And then coming into what Venus has said, observe now. Observe probably in many, for instance, if you're working on your public speaking skills, when you attend seminars, when you watch people speaking, observe and see, what areas can you improve on. So a tool that is cost as nothing is observation. And without really exhausting so much to it, I would also like to highlight on use of other people, like learning from others, in the sense that you can get yourself a coach, you can get yourself a coach, you can get yourself a mentor. that will help you and walk you through different phases of your life. And that will include the different soft skills that you need to work on. And maybe lastly, I would say, like, I mean, here we are on YouTube. Why not be very intentional and say, maybe when I get to work at 8, or maybe I'm supposed to start working at 8, I will arrive at 7:30 so that I can spare 20 minutes every morning and learn, maybe on weekly basis, maybe on this week, I will learn about communication skills. So I'll go on YouTube and search all these, videos that are short videos that explain or give tips on how you can perfect your communication skills, and spend those 20 minutes for 5 working days. How many minutes are those? It's enough to, to take you from one step to another. So there are different ways that one can learn, but first of all, be willing, acknowledge where you are, accept the reality. Second, observe. To me, this should be one key takeaway with me, is that this is a very important tool. Do that, just observe. Don't be so quick to respond. Don't be so quick to prove that you can do something. Take a step back and observe, and then, learn from others. Get a coach, get a mentor. Regardless of where you are in life, you can always improve on your soft skills. Yeah, for me, it is that. And use it's a digital world. Use all these platforms that are available that can help you to improve. I would say that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Such a wealth of information. And as my friend would say, this is just the start. I'd like to ask Venus as well to add on to what Edith has shared. I think Edith has shared quite a lot in terms of what we can do, but maybe you have something more to add on that, Venus.
I would start by emphasizing again what she said about your willingness. Without it, we have said it from the beginning, without it, nothing could happen. Allow me to give you a story of a friend of mine. I have talked with her about Toastmasters, how it helps people to develop their public speaking. I invited her to a meeting. She didn't come. Then one day she called me. She told me, I want to join that thing you talked about. She even didn't remember the name. That thing which help people to be good speakers. Yeah, say, okay, we have a meeting next Friday, please join. And she told me that I have an interview tomorrow. And I want you help me by using your thing to succeed in my interview. And I thought it's not that way. And when I think about, of course, she never attended the session. I don't know what happened with her interview, but sometimes we ignore, or we don't know that the life has a certain laws. There is one quote I love from an American filmmaker, Cecil DeMille, who said that you can't break a law. You can only break yourself against a law. And it's unfortunate, or maybe fortunate, that there's some laws. And one of those laws, Edith talked about it briefly, is the law of growth. You need to accept that the soft skills are not that thing you would enter the school. The same way you can enter the school, they teach you, they give you a formula for calculating the resistance of such material. And after the class, you have mastered the formula and you can use it immediately after. That's not how soft skills are. You need to accept that incremental. You learn by applying. And tools exist. Eddie was talking about internet. We have plenty of tools, but the fundamental thing is to accept to be involved. And second, of course, you need not to want to violate some of those laws, one of them being the law of growth.
Well, there is a saying that in growth, there are no shortcuts, and particularly sustainable growth, that you cannot afford to cut corners. And I think whereas you could cheat on some of the hard skills, I mean, you could try to tighten a few bolts here and there. And I mean, if you're a mechanic and the car would move to a certain distance, but that doesn't mean that your car is actually intact. It's very possible. And we've seen some of the things that we do by try and error, and you fix it and for a short time. But soft skills, actually, you will not cut corners. You either know or you don't know. And I like to also appreciate the fact that often the repercussions can come very heavy if you try to cut corners, because I think because it's a behavior or human skill or quality, when people see that you're trying to cut corners around it, it causes even more trouble to you. And that later on leads to maybe results you don't want. I really want to come back to what you mentioned, Edith, observation. And I would also say a bit of humility, which is, I think, a culmination of what you said in many things, which is one, understand where you are, and two, be able to ask or put in the time that you need. And Venus came into, I feel, to complement what you said, that you cannot afford to cut corners. You cannot afford to always operate in a fix-it mode. And soft skills are just like that. It just reminds me of a few friends of mine that when I was just starting into this thing that Venus was talking about, the Toastmasters, that some of my friends would want to simply come for the certificate. The first question they would ask is, do you give certificates? And there's a big certificate syndrome that was happening at the time. But the biggest certificate, of course, I'm not anything against the certificate. I think they should issue certificates. But I think, to me, the biggest certificate that you have is the ability to deliver on that particular skill that you have. So my friend, there you have it. Having the willingness, earlier on, we were talking about attitude. And I want you to talk more a bit about attitude, Venus. And we had a good conversation about attitude. And all of us believe that everything falls and rises on one's attitude in terms of what they can achieve. But I know there is another way to look at it, Venus, in terms of there could be a much more important thing that person needs to have in order to develop their soft skills or be able to learn anything in general. Venus, I want to invite you again to speak more about the role of attitude, and if there's anything bigger than attitude that we need to have to be able to grow our soft skills, please let us know about it. Over to you, Venus.
Okay, thank you, Joshua, again. Attitude, of course, it's a summary of what we have been talking about. That willingness to learn, that willingness to be humble, to say that I don't know. Before talking about the attitude, let me bring about 3 levels of knowingness, if I may use that, if I may coin the word. There's a level of this thing, I know it. For instance, I know how to drive a car. That thing, I know it. And below that, there's another level where you would say, I don't know. And that level, this is what is important for a person to learn that humility of knowing what you know and what you don't know. And when you don't know, and you recognize that I don't know, this is the starting point of moving upward. But unfortunately, because of how arrogant we are, some people stay far, 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 far below the level I would call, I think I know. That arrogance where people would argue, because he does not want to show that he does not know. So that attitude of pretending that you know when you don't know is an attitude which would stop you from moving forward. There is an author I like, the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from Stephen Covey. When he talked about attitude, he brought about another element of life. And that element, I would connect it to what I talked about earlier about the laws of life. The word paradigm. And he compared paradigm to a map. And when you have a map, it is showing you, it is directing you towards certain destination. And then the attitude would come after. You need to have the right map, then having the right attitude to use the map. Now, imagine what would happen if you were to have a wrong map. If you have a wrong map, you would not know it. Because as soon as you know that is wrong, you would drop it, you would not use it. But if you think this is the right map, and you develop a good attitude, high motivation, everything we know as positive, you would reach fast a wrong destination. So those two elements, the right paradigm, the right map, then a correct attitude. Those are the fundamentals for being able to learn and move forward with soft skills.
Amazing, absolutely well put. And you know what? I had my paradigm shift about learning, where we keep saying everything is all about attitude. You could have the right attitude, but if you have the wrong map, you could be determined to work hard, run as fast as you can. But if you're running in the wrong direction, then you are not going to reach your goal. So it's important and vital to understand where is your map. And I think it's something that Edith earlier on alluded to, understanding what your needs are, understanding yourself, your space, the time that you're in. And this you can do with people around you, by asking people around you, by reading a bit, and also being open to learn. And I think humility is often underrated. The ability of what humility can do. I don't know. I can't overstate the strength of humility, because it can actually lift you. It can actually put you to places where you would never fathom to be, because you looked yourself into the mirror and said, you know what, I actually don't know, and I may need a bit of help. And this has nothing to do, as Venus mentioned, has nothing to do with your class, has nothing to do with your strength, with your ability. It just has to do with your willingness to learn. And whichever level, and it's actually somewhere I say that if you stop learning, then we stop growing. And we stop growing, we die. So that is absolutely powerful. I think what both of you have actually shared with us in terms of what we can do to not just soft skills, but basically anything that we put our hands to. Therefore, it will put us in a better place if we apply these tips that you've shared. I just want to quickly get back to our charts. It looks like time is not our best ally. It's already 7:50, but I just quickly run to the charts and then come back for us to give our closing remarks. So we have a few friends joining in, and I'm just going to quickly read a few things. We have a good friend again, something who says, glad to be here, Joshua. You are always doing a great job out here with our friends, Venus and Edith. So thank you so much, Sandrine. You were a champion on this show. And then Ernest says that very interesting on how Venus explains the approach of ARC or ARC on couples. I think he probably understands this better by bringing an example of couples. Maybe that's why it was profound. Then we have Papias coming again to say, you hammered the nail on the right head, my friend. Thank you so much. I think he's referring to how you explained, Venus, the ARC and how this can be applied into our learning the soft skills. Then we have another friend joining in, Uwera Mediatrice says, I do agree with you, Edith. I joined this session with the second purpose of just listening to you guys with good English. Je suis francophone, moi. That actually is a good attitude that you have. So you're very smart and you could actually find another opportunity to learn. So there you have it. You've already started learning media. Thank you so much. And maybe in my editor French, I would say merci beaucoup. And then Alma, you say you're an amazing program, Joshua. Well done. You come back again to say, I agree with you, Venus, on one needs to grow to learn soft skills. Acceptance and involvement are absolutely key. So thank you so much, Alma, for that. Then Media comes again and says, learning by doing is what I love most about Toastmasters. I think it's something she was referring to the conversation we had earlier on. A friend of yours that you may remember, Sylvain Gumisils, says that Venus, this is that maturity to explain tough things with simplicity. You guy, you are absolutely loaded. I agree with you. I think he's absolutely loaded with lots of wisdom and insights. So thank you so much, Guma, Sylvain, for sharing that. Nicholas Muneza, another familiar face on the speaker's pulse. He says that instant gratification is a disease eating our generation. When you guys say patience is needed to acquire the right soft skill set while working on oneself. I think we cannot agree more. I think my generation, we the millennials are often guilty as charged or perhaps accused of wanting instant gratification. And I think we've learned a lesson or two about this. And thank you so much, Nicholas. We have a new friend as well, Elizabeth Asimio, who says they clap with a clapping emoji. I think you are clapping in appreciation of what Nicholas says. Nicholas comes again and says, thank you very much for the informative session. Quitonda comes again, Alma, says that there is no shortcut to success. Same applies to growth. You can't walk right after you're born. First crawl, creep a little, end up walking. Growing up is a process which we should all embrace. I can't agree more again. Thank you so much. Alma, Elizabeth, you come back again and say, insightful. Thank you very much. Papias, you come back again to say, Sylvain and Caroline, it's great to see you on this platform. And we really are happy to see all of you that have contributed and added something to this conversation. All of you, both of you that have shared your comments and those that have watched and contributed with your eyes. So thank you so much. My friends, time always finds its way in cutting short our conversations, but it's also right to manage our time and as a soft skill that we talked earlier on about. So it's time for us to maybe share some of our conclusive remarks. And I'm going to start with you, Edith. Maybe ladies first applies here. Edith.
Yeah, indeed, ladies first. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to learn. Because I'm here to learn as well. It's not like I know everything. I'm here to learn, and I've learned. Thank you very much. I've learned, I've unlearned, and I've relearned some of these concepts. For me, what I would like to say is this: you can take a horse to the river, but you cannot force the horse to drink water. It all lies in your willingness. It all lies in your openness, and it all lies in your attitude towards, your own improvement. And as you say, there's law of growth. So what is your attitude towards growth? What is your attitude towards learning? So for me, that is my parting message. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have the opportunity to learn, but we have to invest ourselves for sure. Thank you so much, Edith, for your wonderful and definitely memorable parting shot. Venus, over to you, my friend.
Just emphasizing the willingness again, the attitude. And when we say attitude and willingness, it's not enough to say, I want it. That's not enough. Because sometimes you'd find in a situation you and say, I'm very excited. This is wonderful thing. I will join. What you do, even if you say nothing, will be a sign of the attitude in action. Because it is useless to learn whatever tool to memorize and so on, as we said, if you don't apply. And the attitude applied involves getting in and not bringing in reason for why you can't do it. And most of time, and I'm going to conclude on this, probably because of the virus or the worms which are part of our thinking process, we tend to find good reason for postponing or for not doing this. You see, Joshua, he's a good speaker because he has attended good school, not me. If our teacher were in so and so, good reasons for excusing yourself for not taking a step ahead. That's not the attitude we are supposed to have. They were talking about the growth. And I appreciate the comment from the audience who are encouraging us to be part of this. And I totally agree with most of them when it comes to not shortcut. Accept to go slowly, slowly, slowly. And at a certain moment, you're going to realize, I'm there. And there is no upper limit as well. When you are learning, when you are growing, there is no, and this is the good thing with soft skills. It's not like hard skill, where at certain moment you say, I'm PhD, I'm professor. And once you are professor in certain level, it's as if you have reached the summit. With soft skills, that's not the case. You keep growing up to last time you depart from this. So back to you, Joshua.
Wow, wow, wow. What a power-packed conversation. Thank you so much, our wonderful panelists. To simply sum it up, you can take the horse to the river, but you cannot force the horse to drink. Luckily, we are not horses, we are human beings. And therefore, we have the ability to actually learn and grow faster. 2, attitude is everything, but truly, attitude might not be everything. It could be one of the major things, but also getting right what you need to start working on and applying your attitude will make a huge difference. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have been considering starting to do something, it's now to start. Like what Venu said, do not plan to start. Start, my friend. Just start and then slowly by slowly learn. There is no upward limit to how far you can learn as long as you're willing to learn. And that has been such a powerful conversation. I want to encourage each and every one of you to be part of this Speaker's Pulse every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks, we bring you conversations that are vital. And for the next foreseeable future, we will be discussing about soft skills, and we'll break them down one by one as we understand each of these and how to acquire them, how to develop them, and hopefully we can be your number 1 place where you can find vital information, nuggets about developing your soft skills. And you, as a wonderful champion, we want to give you an opportunity to decide which one we start with. You have the opportunity to either right now send one soft skill you think we can start with, and we will definitely start with that, or you can actually send an email to our email, which is, or an email to our email address, which is thespeakerspouse@gmail.com, or you can actually find us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and send us our direct message in our direct message what you would like us to begin with in 2 weeks' time. And that you will have your voice, and you'll be sure that when you take your front seat in our next conversation, you will be listening to your most favorite soft skill, or maybe your most wanted and hunted soft skill that you wanted to grow in. Apart from that, of course, we'll continue to bring to you wonderful conversations around soft skills, maybe to simply appreciate all of you. What a wonderful conversation we just had. Just a few people on the chat again. I see Sylvian says that good to see you, took as a word blessing. And then finally, we have Asime Elizabeth, which I believe is from Kampala, Uganda. We say that from words to actions. Can't agree more, one legendary corporate chic, I don't know if I said it so well, as a model of training and evaluation. They say that truly elucidates that attitude is likely to influence application. Great learning, thanks. And then Elizabeth, you say, I really love the engagement happening here. I'm very happy to join again. Cheers. So thank you so much, Elizabeth, and all of you that you're part and parcel of this conversation. Your participation has definitely been amazing. Thank you so much for plugging in with great comments, great insights, great questions as well. You have made it indeed a memorable conversation, and we will be coming again. That is something you can be sure that we'll be coming again in 2 weeks' time to have another conversation on soft skills. Until then, my friends, this is the Speaker's Pulse, and my name is Joshua Tahinduka. Have a good night.